Okay, so I apologize for my bizarre accent, and I will I will just sit and read my text, but I will try to do it in a relatively entertaining way, I hope. So, yes, I'm here to talk about the valorization of advertising records in a collaborative model. This presentation will outline an initiative that was started back in 2015 by two professors, Martine and Cardin, professor of archivistic, and myself. It's an interdisciplinary approach for the valorization of the records and archives of the advertising industry. I have to move this. All right. So I will start with a few initial considerations on methodology and definitions. I will then tell you a few words on our network of scholars, researchers, partners, and our current projects. But the bulk of this presentation will be on the ongoing project we call Cassette Project, and I will conclude with a few words on what's upcoming for our research teams and network. So, three initial considerations. First, methodology we are developing for this purpose is based on marketing principles. More precisely, we proceed by adapting the open marketing approach to the field of records and archive management, starting by the adaptation of some of its core concepts, that is, such as use value and co-creation that becomes co-aggregation into this new field for us. So what's use value? Well, in short, it holds that the value of a document depends on its value of usage. That's it. And this value varies, of course, from one user to another. Therefore, use value depends more on the user's perception of the worth of the document than on its intrinsic value. A use value perspective takes into account the extent to which a document is perceived by its user to meet his or her needs or wants. In other words, it integrates into management practices the fact that the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. When adopting the use value perspective, the management of records and archives do not revolve anymore around the so-called intrinsic value of the documents, its protection and conservation. Any document, of course, has many kinds of values, and we recognize that. And, of course, its protections and conservation are fundamental functions of record and archive management. But considering a document solely in terms of an invaluable asset may lead to dangerous path of transforming the archivist into some form of golem, obsessed by the protection of his precious. And what is co-aggregation? Well, the concept derives from the marketing concept of co-creation of value and content. So co-aggregation refers to the processes of integrating the input of external and internal users of records and archives at all stages of the production of its value. It's a collaborative process that goes far beyond crowdsourcing, as it allows all stakeholders to collaborate at all stages of production of the document's value chain: acquisition, conservation, processing, and valorization. Second consideration, we decided we would use the term advertising rather than marketing communication, because the latter, although preferred by marketing scholars, is not well known to the public. The problem we have with the word advertising is that it is sometimes limited to the advertising in traditional media, TV, magazine, and so on, while we are interested by all disciplines of communication and any kind of media used for marketing purposes. So we are interested in by design, branding, e-marketing, sponsorship, direct marketing, game advertising, you name it, guerrilla marketing. Everything of these disciplines and medias are in the scope of our interest. And third and last consideration, we use the larger definition of records and archives. Well, if you are archivists here, I don't need to tell you this. So it's a broader definition of record and archives to encompass the broadcasted messages and all other documents produced by or for the campaigns, which also includes the oral archives. So this is because we believe that one of the major limitations of most advertising records and archives is that it focuses on the preservation of the message, or limit the public access to the messages only, without access to the context of the production of the campaign. Interpreting a campaign is a risky business. We miss a lot of information, a vast number of documents that were produced by all those involved at all stages of the production process. I mean, you don't have access to surveys, market studies, communication plans, sketches that were made, scenarios, production costs, media plans, results, and so on. So all those documents that are made by an enterprise or an organization, with or without the help of an ad agency and providers, such as, you have lots of providers, audio-video production houses, printers, broadcasters, etc. All these people have a piece of the puzzle. So accessing these documents gives you access not only to a better understanding of what was advertised, what was a product, service, organization, social cause, political party, and you name it. It gives you access to why and to what end it was advertised, and also to whom it was advertised. It gives you the insight into the consumer's mind, or at least to what the advertisers know about you as their target, and how they play with your minds, how they play with your high hopes and fears. Advertisers see themselves as cultural engineers, paid to change your attitudes, your values, your behaviors. To this end, they produce and consume a vast amount of research, and the range of their inquiries covers virtually all relations we have with any object or idea that was marketed. So advertisers are not only interested by what you buy, they are also interested by what you aspire to be, what you dream of. And advertising campaign, therefore, is much more than what was broadcasted. So there's much more to see in the advertising records and archives than the sole messages. The body or corpus of documents is huge, much too big, in fact, for a few individuals. And the valorization process needs to solve a whole bunch of problems, of course, related to the intelligibility of campaign, the legal, technological, management issues, and also the basic set of knowledge and skills that all stakeholders need to develop in order to jump in the valorization process. So a wide corpus and a set of problems is precisely why we needed to develop a collaborative model to be able to take this monster and understand it. So our approach is mainly project-oriented, though other methods may be used in the future. These projects involve about 55 researchers, as for now, from various disciplines. You have it here. Various professional backgrounds, as you can see on the screen. So we have researchers and scholars in all these fields. So we also work with various institutional partners, including Bibliothèque et Archives Nationales du Québec, BANQ, Library and Archives Canada, hopefully, LAC. Private partners in Quebec have also shown interest to work with us in the valorization of their own archives. Cassette Communication Marketing, the #1 advertising company in Canada. I'll talk about them later. Hydro-Québec, giant of hydroelectricity production and distribution. Mouvement Desjardins in the banking industry, and l'École nationale d'administration publique, which is a school for government administrators. Having built this critical mass of researchers and private partners, we were able to federate and develop many projects, including the development of a higher educational initiatives and the project of an advertising records and archives institute that should be created this fall at Universite Laval. In the context of this Canadian Business History Conference, we thought you could be interested to hear about one of our experiments, that is the cassette project. This cassette project illustrates the interest of the advertising industry for our initiative, because as I said, it's the #1 advertising company in Canada, It is, the company is currently participating with us in the valorization of their own archives and the improvement of their records management. They are not only participating, they are actually investing in it. As they hired some of our professional archivists to do the inventory and description of their archives and prepare the donation, all under our direction. So the cassette project has proven to be an excellent test ground for our collaborative model. We are currently in the first phase of the project. That is the acquisition phase, at the end of which, by next year, Cassette shall offer its Quebec and Montreal cities archives to Quebec National Archives for acquisition. I will show you here, that's Cassette head office, that's our playground. Nobody sees that. Those who have seen archives are not surprised. Sometimes it's really well preserved. We always get the first response, we don't keep anything. I think we don't have anything left, but at Cassette they were surprised to see that they kept a lot of things, a lot of campaigns and billboards, lots of stuff that for them is more important, recognitions and trophies, etc. You also have secrets of the enterprise, so the secrets documents on how they acquired other companies. You have here, you have it here. I'm going to try this. That's the lucky dime. When Cassette went for a pitch for McDonald's, they wanted to have the whole McDonald's business in Canada. Just before the pitch, one of the associates saw a lucky dime. He picked it up. They won the business, and he sent it to his business partner, Claude Lessard. Now they do not speak to each other again, but that's another story. These are the private archives of Claude Lessard, the CEO of the enterprise. He didn't even knew he had these archives. He forgot it with the time, so there they are. You have things like the scripts, the notes, when he made a few pitches, especially when he announced to everybody that Cassette was going global. You have also a secret story. They started to write the Cassette story. This was a story of the enterprise. They invested in it and they forgot it. But it's still there, waiting for valorization. So there it is. So the first phase started in 2017 with an inventory of Cassette's archives head office in Quebec and the assessment of their record management. The report revealed that Cassette makes little, well, you won't be surprised, make little use of its archives, whether because the employees believe these documents have very little information or because they do not know of their existence, or if they do because they do not know where to find it, or because finding these documents and retrieving any useful information from it would take too much time. This happens because preservation practices were loose and often not followed. There is no management of permanent and active documents, nor any proper storage, with some exceptions. With no index locating the documents, the employees rely on personal memory and knowledge of past folders. Moreover, the turnover in the advertising industry is very high. So each departure deprives the company of part of its memory. And adding to this, the periodic moves from one building to another, each move to another location, leading to mass destruction of the archives. So here again, you see here, that's their archival politics. That's about it. That's what we find. You see that we will have technological problems, storage problems. That's what it looks like. It's not always like that, but at least we can see that they, to their own surprise, they kept a lot of campaigns, just treating it like junk, as you can see here. So that's what they even have all the production process of TV ads, the films that were made. So they just not kept the message. They kept all the process and the takes that were taken out of an ad. So you can recreate the whole process of creating an ad and why things were not kept and so on. films. You have the script scenarios of the various ads. You have here the process, the advertising process in the agency, how it goes. And you can see here, that's most interesting for us. That's the research period. Before you do a campaign, you make research, you produce your own data, and you collect data. That's where it comes in the process. Some of the part of the agency are more structured. Those who work on the digital division kept better records of their campaigns, so there it is, and so on. Senior management is aware of the problem as they acutely know that their business is based on knowledge. This is why in 2003, the knowledge management project called the Fridge was put into place at Cossette with the help of a few scholars, unfortunately. Very little came of it as employee interest waned quickly, in part because documents were too difficult to find or retrieve, and in part because there were no platforms, tools, sharing practices in place. So the Fridge project was soon forgotten, and we only heard it because one of our researchers just bumped into one of the scholars who were there at the time. He told us about it. Yeah. As a result of these difficulties, Cossette initially welcomed our initiative with mixed interest. They thought at first that we were just after their messages. Then they understood that we were after everything. So then they said, are you serious? Are you crazy, in fact? We're in the knowledge business. We won't give it away, etc. And at best, they were ready to give us limited access for a short time to their archives, but not more than that. And we were able to change their vision of our project, and we made them understood that giving us access to the whole archives will allow us to valorize their core DNA. Because it's not only about creatives, it's about strategy, understanding the market, the knowledge of the consumer, and they're very proud of that. And that's what we're going to do with them. On the other hand, BINQ immediately understood the archival value of the project, in no small part because they do not have a lot of such funds, or so they thought, because working with us, they made them discover that they have all the advertising campaigns of the Gouvernement du Québec. They all have it. And they have the billings, the scripts, they have media plans, surveys, market analysis, they all have that. The only problem is that it's disseminated into many things, because the main purpose of ministry or government organizations is not to do advertising. So there's a lot of work to do to recreate these campaigns. So we are currently assisting Cossette with the acquisition proposal that should be soon submitted to BNQ. We're supervising the technical and professional resources, students from the Laval University and resources at Cossette. We're completing the inventory and description of the documents, as well as documenting the history of the company and its activities. We must stress the fact that we're doing all this with no guarantee that BNQ will acquire Cossette's funds, nor to which extent if they do. This is a distinguishing figure of our proposal. We're building a collaborative user base for Cossette archives before they are acquired by any national institution. So as soon as BNQ or any other archival institution gets these archives, the valorization process will begin, including digitalization, online publishing, expositions, and so on. We're very confident that BNQ will acquire the archives. So to go short, I can't see.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. We have many projects going on, but in the not-so-far future, we hope to grow our network of researchers and partners enough to extend our activities to the rest of Canada and to other countries. As a matter of fact, we are already extending our activities to France and Switzerland. So it's an invitation. We believe the key is to focus on valorization and avoid trying to create and manage advertising archives ourselves. There are very good institutions that are good at that, and we are not. So the key is to work with archivists and archival institutions. We have very good ties with many of them, and we believe that there are potential partners and also agencies across Canada that would be interested to jump in. So our goal is to help scholars and researchers create their own advertising records and archives institutes, to share expertise and knowledge with them, to connect them with our network of professionals and archival scholars, to help them find partners, and to begin altogether a collaborative model. So thank you for your attention.